In New York, in southeast Brooklyn, lies Mill Basin. In August 2022, summer storms batter this city coastline. Violent winds and a deluge of heavy rain cause a 48-foot buoy tender boat to sink. Zdenek Allman, known as Captain Z, is preparing to remove this 60,000-pound underwater obstruction.
So I'm gonna make the piles what we need for this salvage. The vessel is a 48 feet buoy tender. There is only like few of these vessels actually in service and floating, and nobody manufactures those parts anymore.
Buoy tenders are specialized boats that deploy and tend to buoys that have been damaged by waves and weather. The buoy tender that sunk is one of only 32 ever made, and Z is salvaging this rare boat for his friend Captain Micah Begg, who wants to cannibalize it for spare parts to use on his own identical sister boat.
So a bunch of the things I'm looking for, a spare propeller for myself. They're amazingly expensive because they're a different kind of propeller. Entire drive unit that runs the propeller, and there's a few odds and ends that are kind of peculiar to the boat that would be nice to have so I can continue my boat's life.
All right, we're good to go.
Mike's own buoy tender boat will be used as a base for the salvage operation.
We're using the same boat going to the job site, going next to the wreck. We're using the same boat as the platform for all the equipment.
Today's mission is for Z to dive in and establish a plan to raise the buoy tender vessel and its precious parts.
So now we are at the low tide. The tide is about 7 feet over here. You can see the watermarks on the pilings.
Z needs to inspect the wreck underwater and determine its position before coming up with a salvage plan. But the vessel is not in a good position.
The vessel was in 25 feet of water on a very, very steep slope, so she was 80% capsized.
They need to secure the boat to the shoreline to make sure it won't slip down the steep slope whilst they figure out a plan.
And we tied up the starboard side of the boat to the shore so it doesn't slide down into the deep water on the hill.
The boat is lying on its side on a steep slope by the shore. Z's plan is to attach airbags to the upper deck on the port side. Once the bags are inflated, the boat should move into an upright position. The port side upper deck is equipped with cleats and crane picking holes, perfect anchor points for the airbags to lift this 60,000-pound vessel. Now, the salvage operation can begin.
The first action was trying to put the vessel upright. So we're starting to attaching some first lift bags, which are the salvage buoyancy bags. It's basically a huge bag you take under the water, you fill it with air, and the air gives it a buoyancy.
Z proceeds to attach 2 bags to the port side upper deck. Each bag is capable of lifting 6,000 pounds.
I'm attaching the bags the best I can to the upper deck. However, this boat is filled with lots of other things. I couldn't gain the access.
The surface of the boat is covered in debris that sank with the ship, and it needs to be removed so Z can attach lift bags to the deck. But they still have to raise the sunken buoy boat. And with a storm brewing on the horizon, Z has got his work cut out to get the sunken vessel home and dry. In southeast Brooklyn at Mill Basin, Captain Z and his team have cleared the debris off the buoy tender boat, sunk by violent summer storms.
We got the upper deck relatively clean from the debris, and now I can identify all the attachment points.
Z can now start attaching lift bags to the port side of the vessel. When inflated, he hopes the bags will lift the boat from its side into an upright position. But it's a challenging task.
There you go. The lift bag is not an easy thing to maneuver for the diver. It's cumbersome. It's like 10 feet tall and 15 feet in diameter, and it's heavy. The current is taking it. Trying to grab myself on the boat, position myself, dragging the bag behind me, breathing like crazy, taking all my air.
Captain Z proceeds to attach the chains and shackles to the cleats and crane picking points on the lowest part of the boat.
Finally arriving to the attachment point, and then you gotta wrestle with the shackle and with the chain, put it all together.
Z has managed to attach 3 bags with a combined force of 18,000 pounds of lift on the port side.
I was able to attach enough bags around the perimeter of the upper deck.
The bags are then carefully inflated using an air compressor, which is attached to the bags with hoses. A potentially dangerous step in the salvage.
Well, we have to be careful on those bags. They're underwater, and if any of their rigging snaps or cleat rips off from the boat, those bags, they will shoot up like a rocket, like 10 feet in the air, and they can hurt somebody up on landing. It's like a missile. So we're looking at the pilot house, the superstructure of the boat. It came up a little bit.
But the crew is unprepared for what happens next.
What? Watch out, everybody. Oh! Holy cow.
With the boat flipped over, Z's going to have to work hard to get it on an even keel.
I had to counterbalance the vessel on the starboard side to attach some other bags, so when she rolls over, she wouldn't roll completely over.
Now Z must install 2 6,000-pound bags on the starboard side to offset the port side.
When I'm around the vessel, when she's suspended, I'm there just by myself, and it's quiet, and you hear the tension in the steel. It goes like doom, doom. You hear all these noises, and you know there is a lot of stress on those cleats, on those picking points.
Working around the submerged buoy boat could have deadly consequences for Z.
It's an old vessel. If any of that cleat breaks off from that surface, you're gonna put another stress on other cleats, and it'll be like a domino effect. Those cleats will rip off, the vessel will immediately go down, the lift bags would shoot up to the surface, whatever it's in their way, it'll get smashed. What?
Got those 2 bags?
Yeah.
As the new bags are inflated, Z carefully monitors the position of the boat.
After we got it tipped over, completely the opposite direction than from what it was, we added 2 more 6,000-pound bags on the starboard side, so we would bring her back up, and that's exactly what happened. The vessel is like 95% upright. It's just beautiful.
Today, the salvage team is out of time.
We're securing the boat to the shore so that she can't slide down the hill. Now that she's rolled and she's kind of upright, we want to try and keep her that way. It should save a little time tomorrow. Hopefully be able to get pumps in and totally float the boat.
But the salvage crew is not out of the woods yet. They still face a mammoth challenge to get this 60,000-pound vessel and its treasured parts out of the water. In southeast Brooklyn, at Mill Basin, Captain Z and his makeshift crew need to raise the 60,000-pound buoy tender boat, which was sunk by brutal summer storms.
More lift bags.
Today's plan is to get more bags down lower, hopefully to a point where we can just go straight to pumps.
Hopefully the final and a victory day. If we put a good focus on distribution of the bags, as far as the physics, the lift, the vessel will break the surface. We checked the boat feature on a computer, so we designed how the bags they have to lay out, also according to the weight of the boat.
The buoy boat is now in a level position, suspended underwater. Now they can install the bags to the lowest point of the boat. Plan is to wrap the keel with 5 slings with lift bags attached on each side, giving Z 24,000 pounds of lifting power. Hopefully, the boat will break the surface enough so they can install dewatering pumps, and the vessel will regain buoyancy. With a plan in place, the team gets started.
I have a sling calculated for the width of the boat, and the sling is a little bit shorter, so it comes maybe a foot shorter on each side of the boat. So when we attach the lift bags, they'll be at the lowest point, maybe 1/3 under the boat, and 2/3 of the bag will be hugging the hull.
But fitting the slings is no easy task.
Sometimes the sling behind me gets caught on the rack and that's the end of it. So I trust the thing goes back, so I gotta redo everything. However, after a couple of these attempts, I swim around the boat, I get the sling. Then I'm attaching my heavy chains because they will prevent the sling from going to one side or another.
It's a painstaking rigging process, but Z manages to get the boat strapped up.
So we have 5 of these slings, one after another, everything tight.
Now Z will have to wrestle the lift bags into position.
I have a battle with every single one, trying to swim down and pull down, finally attaching the bags to my slings.
They must carefully inflate the bags. If they put too much air on one side, this salvage could go sideways fast.
It's very crucial up top to know which hose goes to which bag. The reason is we need to inflate those bags in a sequence so the vessel comes up even, stable, it won't capsize, it won't roll over, it won't go the bow up, then the bags will be sliding off. We just have to come even. So it's very crucial, proper air distribution.
But Z's topside crew is struggling to keep up.
The crew is wrestling with the big manifold. It's a big pipe with many valves, and each valve is connected to the air hose, and that air hose fills a particular bag.
Tim,
Yes.
this will not reconnect. It just shoots air like crazy.
It's becoming obvious Z's new teammates are not as experienced as he'd hoped.
I think they lost kind of track, what's what, and I see the confusion on everybody's face.
I think it's the yellow that's closest to Tim.
Oh, I see. So got pushed.
Now that closes off your other manifold.
Oh.
And it turns out that nobody wants to communicate with anybody up there because nobody knows what it is. Nobody wants to say their opinion because nobody is sure if they're right.
No, it's the yellow one closest to Tim. It's labeled.
As the crew ties themselves in knots, the salvage is in danger of being scuppered.
All of a sudden, we see that the boat is leaning to one side. And if you do that too much, then obviously the vessel can capsize. I'm seeing the situation as the vessel is like bouncing left and right. I'm swimming around the boat. So I see the back at stern aft 60%. Then I see the lower 6,000-pound bag midship port side 30%. And that bag was supposed to be filled to 100%. So I knew that they lost the track of all the hoses.
Things are not going to plan, and it's all down to Z to take charge of the situation.
So the decision is me identifying every single bag, grabbing the hose from the bag, identifying the location, the type of the bag, coming up with the hose, shaking the hose on the surface, screaming and yelling what bag it is and what the status of the bag, and hoping in the madness of the hoses, they'll be able to track that hose through all those coils they have on a dock.
Z needs to get the lift bags under control, or this whole salvage operation will be dead in the water. In southeast Brooklyn, at Mill Basin, the sunken buoy boat has 30,000 pounds of lifting bags attached to it, but it's in a precarious position. Now they need to utilize the crane to help raise the wreck.
He's attaching a lifting cable or lifting line so that I can use to raise the bow and at least take some of the weight off. And if we can get the bow up a little bit, we'll also be able to get more lift bags under the front of the boat and raise the whole boat, hopefully level.
It's the moment of truth. Will the sister vessel be able to lift her buoy tender counterpart? Gradually, the boat slowly starts to rise. But there's a problem. Crew member Hannah is sitting on a floating workstation directly above a 6,000-pound airbag, putting her in grave danger.
The bags we have attached, there is a tremendous energy. One bag is able to lift 6,600 pounds. Regular pickup truck, it's about 5,500 pounds. You can only imagine that kind of force.
Anna, you push yourself so you're over the deck. Can you push yourself to the side?
If the bag would ever break off, on the way up, as it travels through the water, the air inside of the bag will be expanding and expanding, so it's just like out of control missile.
Hannah moves into a safe position, clear of the airbag. And with the help of the crane, the boat finally breaks the surface.
We finally got enough lifting bags on it that the entire vessel, including the stern and the bow, it's nearly level and it's completely off the ground, off the bottom.
The team has run out of daylight. But the boat is high enough now, so they can try pumping the water from inside the vessel.
Got 3-inch pumps heavy on the dock. We dropped the pumps in it, and in that moment, the water inside of the cabin and inside of the engine room was starting to recede, and the boat was starting to come up. We had 6 pumps on it. Each pump was doing 300 gallons a minute, rising over the water. It's kind of like a miracle, you know, kind of like walking on the water kind of thing. And the boat is up. That's it. It happened at 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're standing in a wreck completely off the water. It's just an amazing feeling.
The next morning, the Salvers return to claim their precious buoy boat prize. Now the raised wreck can be seen in all her glory.
Overall, the boat looks fairly decent. The drive system, for instance, looks actually really good, as does the steering gear, but it's really the parts on the inside that I'm looking for, and they should be fine. Last bags, time to go home.
It's a resounding success for Captain Z. And the salvaged parts will live on in Mike's sister vessel.